Hello, everybody. So it's Tracy Brown here. I'm a registered dietitian and nutrition therapist that helps people work on their relationship with food and weight and body image and all that good stuff. And I'm here today with Caroline Young. She's a dietitian who does the same stuff I do as well in the Atlanta area. And she's here talking to us today, us friends here on Facebook or whatever platform you're finding this on, about non-diet counseling and decoding skills, which is something I teach other dietitians and coaches. And Caroline did this program, gosh, a year and a couple months ago, and you weren't working for yourself at all. And I would just love to hear a little bit about, share with everybody else, because a lot of us start in the same place of like, we're really passionate about intuitive eating, health at every size, trauma recovery, all the things that go along with that. But maybe we've even been through it, but we're like, well, how do I help people without saying the wrong thing? And there's a difference between like being through it even and being passionate about it and knowing like, okay, after the first session, what do I do? So I'd love to hear a little bit about your experience, and then obviously be asking about what you're up to these days since the program.
So my experience with the program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I did the decoding for professionals. I know there's a longer title for that, but I did the program with Tracy and a few other women, and I did it last winter. So the winter, it's actually started in December of 2017, and it went through like early March of 2018, and I did it because I knew that I had a master's degree in nutrition, and it was very classic nutrition, like very just traditional, nothing about intuitive eating or health at every size, and not much about eating disorders either. I had already done my own, I'd already had my own experience with that personally in the past, my own struggles, but I had done lots of research on my own before the training, but I just knew that I needed different counseling skills to work with that population, because I knew that I eventually wanted to, and that was kind of my plan. But I just needed more tools, and I needed more support, and I needed someone like Tracy to guide me to develop those skills and tools, and to feel comfortable doing it. Because I really didn't feel comfortable at all doing it. It scared me. And I also had known Tracy and her work for a few years, I think, already, and admired it and admired the way that she worked. I thought it was really unique and seemed to be really effective. And that's kind of like what led me to, and then I saw the training and I was just like, okay, well, this is perfect timing for me. And so I went ahead and did the training. And then at the time I was working in I was starting to work in a drug treatment center as a dietitian there, and started to integrate my tools that I learned in the training with those clients, which was really, really, really helpful. And then I ended up going to a private practice in the summer of therapists. And in the midst of that, created my own private practice that's virtual that I still have. And then I'm still at that practice with the therapist, doing about half my clients are diagnosed eating disorders, and the other half of my clients are somewhere on the spectrum of disordered eating, and coming to me off of like the keto diet. It's interesting. Like a lot of my clients that are the more disordered eating side are often coming off the keto diet.
Well, it's the newest, and it's the newest flavor, right? So I always say there's nothing new under the sun. So keto is like the old Atkins, and fasting is just not eating. And whatever else is happening today or tomorrow or in 20 years, it's going to already have been in some form that we all recognize from the past. So, and this is always going to be education needed, desperately needed, So that's the thing, is that like people feel like those plans should work and they're the failures, and we know that like, no, the plans they've always been failures, they always will be.
Mm-hmm.
So, cool. I think what's really amazing is that you went from just kind of starting off working as a dietitian to here we are a year and about 3 months later, you're in private practice. And I don't know what your status or census is with all that, but it's really amazing that you kind of jumped right in. And
Thanks.
just and had the courage to do it, because I certainly didn't. I worked for other people first, and there's nothing wrong with that, either of our paths, but just to give you credit that like you've taken everything that you've experienced and learned and just going after it, which is I hope people kind of listening to this that are scared, like, well, people do it. And
Yeah.
when you
Well,
have
and
the
I think,
confidence, or at least you have enough to know like how to have some baseline like
mhm.
skills and confidence. And even I know we do a lot of deep skills in this training, so it's not like it's just teaching people how to do intuitive eating.
No.
Like you know what to
Yeah.
do.
I think, and another thing, like for people listening that are in that same position, like starting out and afraid, like I think it's important to know that you're gonna. It's like I'm still afraid, and that's okay. Like it's just a
Mm-hmm.
part of it. And the
Yes.
key. This is something that I've really come to and been saying a lot to my clients in their work, and then also just people in my life in general. Like with anything, we're always going to be afraid when we're doing things that are worth doing, that feel risky and scary. But just as long as you have the courage, to go along with the fear, then it's
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
So yeah, I know that I'll be scared for a while, and like I'm just like, all
Well,
right.
well, resonate together here. Is that like
Yeah,
I mean, I'm doing this for 13 years. I still get scared. Like I'm
yeah,
doing I'm launching this thing and I'm doing a different webinar, and just we're always upping our skills in some kind of way. And you're like, and sometimes things won't work out, and that's okay. We get to learn from that.
yeah.
Every client interaction we have, it's like, that felt a little flat, or I'm not
Hmm.
sure what to do with it. You can feel sad, and then we decide like, okay, this taught me something. If I don't have it myself, where can I go get it? And that's what
Yeah,
this program was meant to kind of fill that vacuum for, around like building up confidence with counseling skills, and knowing that like people are going to say things you're not quite sure exactly what to do, but if you know how to hold the space, you guys
yes.
will get to where you need to go.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
that was a big thing for me that I learned in your training was the holding the space piece. Um, and being the container. You said that a lot, being the container for the person and not rushing in to try to fix them or change them. That's something that I think I know that I'm still not perfect at, but something that I really have grown into being able to be okay in silence and
yeah,
be okay with, well, I mean, there's so much pain in this work. So being able to sit with the person as they're in so much pain. Um, and then another big part of that is learning how to really take care of yourself and have boundaries. And the
yeah,
self-care thing is so huge in this work too. Something
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
still learning. So
We're all still learning, and where you're at year 5 won't be how you feel probably at year 10 or 15, and you'll have different components in your life at those different times maybe, and like all that's got to be adjusted.
yeah.
So we learn how to like shift in our capacity for different things. um I was going to say something about what you said, but I guess I have a different question for you. Is what are maybe 3 of your favorite like aspects of the training, you think?
Okay. I really loved the role playing. So in the training, you do role playing, whether you are playing the client or you're playing the dietitian or the coach.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. And that was helpful, whether or not I was participating or not. If it was someone like, I know I did it with you a few times, and then other people would do it with you too. And that was really helpful just because it gives you, like, you're actually imagining that you're there in the session with the client. And that was incredibly valuable for me, to just even kind of to imagine what it would be like. Because at that point, I didn't even have a client yet. And so it was like really hard for me to even fathom what it would be like. And so that helped me to kind of make it more real.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big part of me feeling more comfortable about it. Um, and then you gave us a lot of tools to use. I think the most valuable tools, there's a lot of them, and I use most of them, if not all of them, in my work. And
That's
of course,
great.
not with all of my clients, but
Right.
it depends. Um, but the decoding piece, you're so into, that I really, really understand, and value and think is really missed a lot of the time in this work, that eating disorders and dieting wherever the person is on the disordered eating spectrum, if not an full-blown eating disorder, it's a language for trying to express something else. And so the way the tools and the explanations that you gave us about decoding was so valuable to me, because that's really the work, you know? So
Yeah.
it's so, and it's so much more than the food. And I think that was that you helped us come up with the questions to ask and how to look at someone's food intake and be able to literally decode it and see what was underneath it, instead of focusing so much on the food piece. So that was important to me, and something that I really strive to do with my clients and help them understand too,
That's my hope, is that like you have this tool, but then you teach it to your clients. That's the
Yeah.
point. That's
Yeah,
the point. So they're not recycling themselves over and over again into different treatment centers or modalities, is because you understand that this language of food and body is doorway in. And
Yeah,
it sounds like,
exactly.
and it's fun because you get to, you're looking at your food and you're being in your role as a dietitian, but you also get to be in, like, okay, you're inviting your client to sit on your side of the chair or the couch with you, looking at the food. Like, what is this saying about what's going on for you? And sometimes food choices are just food choices, and you just ate what you had. And sometimes, especially if it doesn't feel like it's a choice, then there's more to it that you're trying to express. And sometimes there's just, you get right to it, and it's like, oh, I'm not so out of control, or oh, I'm not, like, I don't know not what to do. It's just here it is, literal on the piece of paper.
Yeah, and I think that when I do that with my clients, it's like it's just to see them go, oh my gosh, like I had no idea, that it's like helping them kind of decode their own emotional expression,
Yeah.
So that has been incredibly valuable. And then I would say that training was really my first introduction into and this is a little bit intense, but all this work's intense. So, so I remember a book, and you can tell me the name of the book. I'm forgetting it now. I don't have it with me, but it was a book. I think it's called Eating Problems, actually. And they have a whole chapter in there. Yeah. I think that was the book where
this is the book I have on my desk. Yep.
Okay. About sexual trauma and eating disorders. So I remember reading that because in the training you have us do these readings like throughout the week, which was, I feel like, incredibly important to stay on top of as much as I could. And I really tried to, because the readings in the books that you recommended to us to have for the training were really, they just made so much sense, and they were so still helpful to me. They're in my library now. But the introduction it was my first introduction to sexual abuse and eating disorders, and that connection. And I think I kind of always knew maybe there was a connection, but I didn't understand why and how. And I didn't realize at the time when I was reading it, but I have so many clients who have experienced that in the past, and I work with their therapists on it, and I talk to them a little bit about it. But having that awareness, I think, is so important. And I think it's another thing that is missed in eating disorder treatment and kind of separated from the eating disorder. And I think some people, and like my older version of myself, didn't even really know that there was this like direct link to it. And so that has been really, it's important to me, actually right now with a couple of my clients, like just knowing, being educated on that. And we had a whole conversation in your training about it to really help us understand it. I think I had a million questions about it, but
it's great, because as dietitians and coaches, we're not directly treating that, but we need to know what we're bumping up against, because and again, some of the just the expression of the food. And it's not like you directly confront anybody about that if you suspect it, but you get to work with their team, or just in general be able to tread and understand that there's some function around their food with something. And just to know how to like have a lot of compassion and going at the pace your clients can go around those kind of things is important.
I think it built awareness for me around it, and it made me realize that it's important for me to know that information. Now I agree, like you're not going into depths about it, but knowing that they're in therapy and talking to their therapist about it and helping the client and the therapist understand what the eating disorder is doing to help them suppress the really intense pain that comes up from trauma like that, I think is really valuable. Dietitian or therapist, like whoever, I think it's just valuable information.
Yeah. What I want to add to that is like people oftentimes think when, and I'm going to especially be talking, or kind of speaking to people who do intuitive eating coaching with this next part here, is that you're experiencing that with your clients, whether you know it or not. There are a certain percentage of people who come to you like just want to get off keto, that have that history, and whether it ever developed into a full-blown eating disorder around that because of it, whatever, we all have experiences, in our lives and with our bodies, and not wanting to be full in our bodies with food just says a ton about our ability to be feel safe in our bodies in general. So whether they ever reveal that history to you or not, you might suspect it, understand it, like, with teaching intuitive eating and being able to do teach them hunger fullness work, there'll be parts of it that there might be a little stuckness, and that might be maybe not some reasons why, and just understanding that some of this sounds familiar from our work, you'll be less stuck with your clients. And that's the point of all this work, is like we don't need to get stuck. We have tools to be even seeing ahead of time where there might get to be some stuckness. You already kind of know, like, this area of this work, intuitive eating or body image or movement, is going to be a little harder than other parts for them. And so you kind of already are ready for that.
Yeah.
So cool. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate hearing all the in-depth answers you gave me. I appreciate that. It's like, I guess that's what we do, don't we? So I appreciate it. Well, I guess, if you have any other thoughts about the program or anything that you've seen it help, any of the comments you have about it, I'd love to hear before we sign off and go about our days.
I think the other thing, it was incredibly helpful for me. I think another part about it was the marketing piece. You gave us some really good advice about like marketing your business and from your own example, from your own life, your own professional life, and giving us tools to do that, that I've actually started using more recently, just because I went out on my own. Yeah. I think, I'm trying to think. I also think it really helped me to get past this block within myself that was telling me that I couldn't do it. So that was a lot. It was my own work that I had to do, but I think a lot of it came from the support of your training and listening to other women and everything about it, the tools, everything I was reading, and the conversations we were having really helped me to be like, okay, like, this is what I really wanted. I want to go in this direction. I have foundation from this training, and even though I wasn't fully confident, and I have my days where I still am not, but I feel like I am much more than I would have been without it, for sure. No doubt. Yeah.
And I'm grateful that you're part of, especially that first go around of things, and and make sure you're checking in with the Teachable platform after this, because there'll be some new audios and videos come up, and make sure you check on I did another meal planning / key study / decoding intro.
I saw that. Yeah.
I'm excited, because it's like that rarely ever happens in one session. That's a lot to do in one.
Yeah.
But this client was ready, scared but ready. It's always nice to have a scared but ready person.
Yeah. Yeah. What was I going to say? Another thing that was super helpful that they're going to keep popping up in my head, but was you let us listen to a session or something, or a couple of sessions, and that was super helpful, because I had never really heard a non-diet dietitian session before, so that was really helpful too. So
I think I've got up to at least 5, maybe 6, like, sessions of mine in there at this point.
Oh, okay.
So there might be new ones since you were in it, but
okay, yeah.
Anyway, I just love hearing, this has been a year and something now, how far you've already come, and just knowing that you felt like there's a platform, and that's the goal of this whole thing, is to move people beyond, like, I understand intuitive eating, I love it, but how do I teach it, and how do I teach it in a depthful way to where we only get to a certain place and we could just get stuck, or we stop. And you kind of already know that, like, and I do this a lot. This is why I do this trainings, like, well, I taught the principles, but now what do I do? And there's so much that we
Yeah.
can do. There's so much we can do.
And yeah, and that, and also it's so individual. Like
Yeah.
I have not done the same exact process with any client, if that makes
That's
sense.
right. Me
Like
too. No, yeah.
like some clients I don't even like say the words intuitive eating for a while, like, and some
I'm
of them I
glad.
jump right in. It really depends.
That's right. That's
So,
right. Yeah.
yeah.
And that's why we do a lot of variety of, sessions that we go through, as well as just kinds of clients we might get, because you're right. There have been times that I've maybe talked about, like, use the word health at every size, but maybe twice towards the end.
Yeah.
When it's like they're good and ready, and then sometimes that's session 3. So being able
Right.
to know when to use these tools is important as well, right?
Yes.
So you have
That's,
them,
yeah.
you have them, but it's like a puzzle. So I've got these tools, and that you're kind of going the way where the client's stuff around food and body is, and when it's the right timing, you use the thing.
Yeah, and that's another thing I learned in that training too. And I mean, that's an ongoing process, but I
Right.
definitely started to learn it in that training for sure.
Yeah, cool.
So, yeah.
Well, Caroline, thank you for having us. I want to do this again at some point in another year to see, like, how are those marketing tools working for you? And make sure you check back in with the recordings, because they'll be, and that's part of the coolness. I mean, I'm just going to keep uploading these new years of recordings. That way people who've been in the past can keep learning too. But I've got some new marketing stuff basically to go over, because I've got another year of experience as well. So I just kind of keep sharing what's up with me too. And that's how these things kind of keep working, keep layering on, right? So, okay. Well, thanks for coming and sharing your experience. And I know people maybe don't know Caroline that well, but she's very talented, but no BS. So I know these things that she's telling you. I'm like, okay, she didn't feel this way, she wouldn't say it. So it's appreciated. It's appreciated. Yeah. It's all true. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay. And we don't rehearse. I just say, hey, you want to talk?
Oh, no. I honestly didn't really even think about what I was going to say. So this is all very authentic.
And neither I'm like, let's talk to Caroline about how she's doing a year plus. And it's just great to hear. I mean, I'm thrilled for you. And then, by the way, if y'all don't know, you also do retreats, which I'm like, I've never done a retreat. Like, you go.
I didn't know that I was going to be doing a retreat, but it just happened. So.
And you're doing another one coming up?
We have a spring one coming up, me and a therapist friend, and I'm a yoga teacher as well. I know you know that. But so we're doing yoga, meditation, and intuitive eating. I'll be teaching, and we do some different food like experiences together. I mean, of course, we'll eat all our meals together and go on a hike, and she does conversations around body image and compassion, and she's also health at every size informed. And
that's great.
The first one was amazing, so we hope that the second one will be the same way. So
that's amazing. Did you think a year and something ago you'd ever be doing a retreat with these skills? That's amazing.
I honestly thought, oh, maybe one day far off in the future. And then I met this woman who I'm doing the retreats with, and we just were like, what if we did this? And it just kind of came true, and it went really well. We were both terrified, but it went really well, and now we're feeling much more confident, just like anything in life, just the more you do it, the better you feel. So.
I think that I think I'll leave it at that. Well, the recording, because it's like you're just embodying what this work, and I say that in a good way, like, wow, it's like anything that we do, any risk we take, whether it's doing a new training, creating a private practice, a new marketing thing, new skills, doing a retreat, we're all scared. We're not for sure if it's going to go well, be what we need, work out great. But we also know if you feel really compelled to do it, it's probably the right thing, even if you're scared. So that's a good place to end it. Just like, oh, you did a retreat and you were scared, and it's been one of the best experiences of your life, but we don't know until we just go for it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. You too, Tracy. All right. Bye.